What's going on, guys? Welcome to the second session of our Q&A for Soul Surplus. I'm your host, Wes, along with Smythe. We're going to hop right into it. So our first question is from @AudioAnthem. I'm an up-and-coming sound designer. Can I send you guys my sample pack to check out? As well, when planning out releases, how far do you usually plan or create the content? AudioAnthem, we appreciate the question, bro. First and foremost, we're really glad that you are stepping into the sound design landscape. Really hope that you have success in that. Secondly, we do not accept sample packs from outside vendors. We did in the very beginning. We were working with a few, but we actually don't accept any outside producers or sound designers. We do have one particular pack that we do work with Swoop, but that situation is just a bit different in that, you know, there's a relationship he's kind of technically part of the family, and also the same thing with Wit. But as far as outside sound designers and producers, we actually don't accept those, but appreciate you thinking about us. As far as the second question, I'm going to let Smythe go ahead and talk about, you know, how we go into planning releases and creating the content for those releases, and I actually guess I'll come back and talk about how we create the content around the releases.
So the way this usually happens, I'll have an idea and I'll come to Wes or John about the idea, and they'll give me the go ahead for it. Sometimes they'll give me the idea. They'll say we should do a volume 2 of so and so. Or, you know, I'm thinking it's a good idea we do a pack with more synths or, you know, what have you. So I'll finish the pack. It's sort of like a conveyor belt kind of thing. I'll do the pack. It gets to Joel. Joel will usually do mastering and most of the stems and creating the actual what the file looks like, what the folders look like, and then it gets to Wes. And I guess you can talk about what happens from there.
Yeah, so pretty much like once we know that we're going to go in a particular direction, while you're actually finishing that particular pack, then John and I kind of go to town with making sure that we're creating content around that specific thing. There's going to be times like I'm looking forward to right now, because the last month and a half, it was a little bit harder to make sure that content was done like really thoroughly, because we were finishing up this massive project, like all of us were working on it. So now that we finished that project, like I was really looking forward to this week, because I kind of felt like this is the first week we kind of got out of from underwater a little bit, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And kind of back to the normal thing. But basically what we do is, you know, Smythe or Joel, they'll finish a pack, and then John and I are basically planning content around that pack, to talk about specific things that pertain to something that might be going into that pack. So if it's a synth pack, you know, some of the content that we're going to talk about is going to revolve around synths. You know what I'm saying? If it's a drum pack, we're going to talk about drum machines, you know, and that's usually how we do it. We usually plan those things sometimes three weeks, maybe a month out of, you know, ahead of time. And yeah, man, it's, you know, we want to get to a point where we're actually, you know, doing that stuff a quarter ahead, you know, but we haven't gotten there yet. So our second question is coming from @KingTunge, I'm guessing. Sorry if I butchered that. But he asks, after you create a pad, what are some helpful tricks for things to consider when making a melody or counter melody? I'm definitely going to let you answer that, because that's all the way in your wheelhouse, Smythe.
Yeah. So it's really, I look at it as a music theory kind of thing. And I'll try not to get too deep, because harmony and melody is something you could talk about forever. So after I create a pad, there's actually, you know, two schools of thought. Some people start with melody, and some people start with the chords. So if you are running into a sort of a roadblock, maybe you should start with your melody first. But if you did start with your pad, to answer your question, you should sort of approach it with chord tones. So let's say you're in your pad, your progression is C major 7, F major 7, and then D minor 7. So within that, your melody over the C major 7 chord, you could include C, E, G, or B. Over F major 7, your melody notes could be F, A, C, or E. And then over your D minor 7 chord, your notes could be D, F, A, or C. And kind of what you want to do is to create a melody that's going to be very fluent. You're not making huge jumps to make it sound smooth. So I'll try to give like a really quick example. So maybe over C, your first note would be E, and then you could play G, and then transitioning into that F major 7, you could walk diatonically down to F and then to E, because E is a part of that F major 7 chord. And then once you get to D, you could go back to F. So there you just played 3 notes. But those 3 notes are all close together and they work over those 3 chords.
Right.
So yeah, of course I could give you the jazz school explanation of harmony and reharmonizing. But honestly, if you listen to some of the packs that me and Joel do, there's a lot of music theory and a lot of melody and counter melody stuff broken down in there that you can really draw from.
Yeah, man. So we thank you guys for your questions that you sent us. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media channels. We are at Soul Surplus everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, you name it, we're there. Don't forget to leave us some comments, ask us some questions so we can continue to do these Q&As every week. Thanks for checking in. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.